My 26 husband, 26, cut his family off because they didn't want us to get married. His grandfather, 80/90, is sick, and he's still refusing to speak to them. My husband and I met in college. His family were nice whilst we were dating, but did a 180 when they found out my husband was planning to propose. They tried to convince him not and threatened to disinherit him, financially cut him off. They never went through with the latter. If he did, he'd warned me that his family were elitists when we met, so I wasn't that shocked by their reaction. In the end, he proposed and cut them off completely. They tried apologizing before our wedding, but my husband refused to talk to them and wouldn't invite. Fast forward to now, we've been married for over 2 years, and his sister reached out to me over Facebook. She said she'd been trying to contact my husband for a week, but he wouldn't respond to her or any of their family, and she didn't want to deliver the news in a message. She asked me to ask him to call. I mentioned it to my husband, and he said he wasn't going to do it, and that this was another one of their games to try and get him to contact. I relayed the message to my Sil, and she ended up telling me that their grandfather was very sick, and he was desperate to see my husband again. Their family is worried he isn't going to make it. I tried to tell my husband this, but he's adamant that they're lying despite his sister having sent me pictures as proof. He refuses to look at them. His parents have both called me to apologize for how they behaved again and are begging me to convince my husband to see reason. My husband's grandfather is the person he was closest to, and I know if he passes away without them making up, my husband won't be able to live with himself. I know he's still hurt by how his family reacted, but I think he's letting that cloud his judgment. How do I make him see that they're not lying when he's in so much denial? Too long don't read. My husband's family were unhappy about him proposing to me and tried to force him. So he ended up cutting them off, and he's continued to stay, despite them apologizing and reaching out several times over the year. Now his grandfather is sick, and he thinks they're lying despite sending us proof, and is adamant about continuing to ignore them. You can't force your husband to get back in touch with his family, and if you try it is likely to cause problems between the two of you as well. You can say once, I know you're still hurt by the way they treated you and us, but I worry that you're going to regret it if you don't see your grandfather before he passes away, and I don't want to see you hurt even more by this. I totally support whatever you decide to do, but this is the evidence that he's sick, and I believe your sister when she says that he probably doesn't have much time left. Please think about it, and let me know if you need to. Then leave him alone. He knows his family better than you. It's possible that they really are using this crisis to try to bring him back in, where the control tactics and manipulation will start again. Trust your husband to know what he needs. It's likely that them trying to stop marriage was the last straw in larger history of controlling behavior. You treat it as singular, exceptional event, but he likely see it as part of larger pattern. I think it's not just about him feeling hurt. Cutting parents off is hard emotionally, even if those parents are narcissistic or abusive. He might be refusing to trust them now for that reason. Contact might reopen emotional can of worm. If they're the kind of people who could plausibly lie about this, if he's not paranoid. Contact is risky. How much do you talk about his childhood? Maybe it would be worth asking him about. I mentioned it to my husband, and he said he wasn't going to do it, and that this was another one of their games to try and get him to contact. This is not the kind of thing a person says after one transgression. I get the strong feeling that your husband has been putting up with bullshit from his family for a very, very long time. Their objections to your marriage were just the final straw. Your husband knows his relationship with his grandfather better than you do, as hard as it may be. I think you need to back off and let him handle his family how he sees fit. He's not unaware of his previous closeness to his grandfather. He's choosing to stay away anyway. If you think your husband is a fundamentally reasonable person, then trust him to know how to handle his family, even if it makes you uncomfortable. He may make different choices than you would under the same circumstances, but that doesn't make him wrong.